White Zeta. Hey, what's up again, everybody? Robert184 from the new gundam.tk. Thanks for sticking around for this exclusive review of this limited model. Yes, it's Amuro Ray's, possibly Canon, Zeta 3, flown by White Unicorn from Gundam Evolve. And now it's time for the final verdict, all the good and bad things in one place. To start off with the negatives before moving on to the positives, the first big thing about this is when you look at it, you'll notice that there is a real lack of color variation in this. And that was especially apparent when I cracked open the box and I looked at the plates, and all you're going to get is white and gray, with a tiny bit of yellow and a half plate of pink, but outside of that, don't expect any sort of color variations in there. So the plates seem dull, and the weapons especially. Usually with the Zeta, it's famous, it's got a special blue for its weapons, and then down here with the Hyper Mega Launcher, everything here is just more white and gray to add to the already white and gray body. The stickers for the most part go on pretty well, but you're going to notice that a lot of these, on the rounded parts, you can see it peeling up over there. It looks good on the white, it doesn't look very good on the gray, and it's going to peel up and bubble in places, no matter how many times you push that down with your finger or with a Q-tip, so that's something that really could have been planned a little bit better, especially on the round parts. However, the thing that's really going to bug me the most about this, and probably you as well, is just the way the legs don't work the way that you want them to. They have so many bend mechanisms, and the fact that you've got this coming back at a 135 degree and bending down, sliding this way, the feet moving, the ankles moving, everything about these can move, which is good because you need it for the transformation, but it's terrible when you're trying to have it just stand on the ground in a regular stationary pose without it going toppling backwards because its high heels are far too low. I'm also not crazy with the way either of these weapons fit onto this in Wave Rider mode. The beam rifle fits in at the top. It's a little bit, well, it's not tricky to put in, but it's not going to sit up very high. You'll notice that it's not quite touching, but it's not quite properly elevated the way it seems to be on the side of the box. And the Hyper Mega Launcher underneath was just causing all sorts of problems, as putting it on, it doesn't want to fit with this extension base because all it's going to do is knock this off, and I had this thing topple off twice, which is not fun when you've got a complexly transformed Gundam to have that go pitching down to the ground. The biggest complaint, however, about this kit is that if you wanted to walk into a store and buy it today, you may not be able to unless you're paying inflated prices because of the fact that this is a limited model. And if you think about it, the High Nu is not a limited model, nor is the G3. Well, even when they did a version 2.0, of course they've done some convention exclusives along the way. But the idea being is that that whether they're canon or not is completely up to you for all three of them, and there's varying levels, of course. But I don't see why this one had to go as exclusive, especially as an Amuro Ray, the main pilot, something that has been animated twice. You'd think that this would get the same amount of love as something like the High Nu or the G3. Final complaint, when you see these two side by side, you're going to notice that this has the classic color scheme, and it takes this unique, the Zeta Gundam is very unique in the way it looks, and I think that that color scheme comes across as looking a lot better than plain old white and gray, even with the decals, which adds a little bit more pizzazz than the regular Zeta has, but this is something that you're going to have to decide which one you prefer. On to the positives though, and there are quite a number, starting with something that I would probably never put in a verdict, but I have to say, I was impressed with this instruction manual. Yes, the technical parts on the inside are interesting on how to do the transformation, but the fact that it's unique and not just, they could have just redone the regular one and just given you a picture of showing you how the color variations work. But in this case, you're actually getting a ton of information specifically about White Unicorn Zeta Gundam, and I think that's worth reading because you can check that, read that, and then decide. Canon status, all up to you, but I just appreciate the color splash pages and all the work that they did on the front and back. Not to mention the fact that I think it's got a very impressive looking cover. Also, the polo color sheet is great for putting on the decals because you know where they all are without having to look at a black and white paper and guess. Something else I don't mention too often is just the fact that it's got this base, and the launch base, it's got some good playability with that being able to slide forward, lock into place. It really helps with the aerial poses, and the fact that you can take a lot of these attachments, like the thing that holds it actually on, and clamp it underneath when not in use. Little things like that shows they put a lot of effort into that. Combine it with the Mark II's elevator pad and this flight deck controller, and you've got a real winner in terms of accessories here. My next praise is going to not make sense with some of the things that I was saying earlier, except for the fact that I actually really like the white, gray, and pink. And the real winner for me is just the fact that this pink, it pops in every way. It's better than the regular Gundam red. The legs, the thrusters, and the wingtips, they come across looking very good when it's in Wave Rider mode, especially when you take off the weapons just to focus more on the main colors. But as a Gundam, I think that its color scheme looks very unique, and on your shelf, I like these colors, so if you do too, I think that you'll actually really enjoy this kit. In addition to the plain colors, I really liked the stickers. They go on very easily with just a little bit of patience, and the fact again that they give you this color insert that you can just pull out and have as an easy reference makes everything easy. I was worried about the decals. I'm not crazy about putting too many decals all over a Gundam, but these ones went on really well, and I even added the extra dry decal on the hip, and I think it actually looks pretty sharp. Now, in terms of the weapons, that's another winner, and I'm not talking about them necessarily here in Wave Rider mode, but when he's a mobile suit. The beam rifle has a lot of moving parts, it slides forward, it's got the extension, and the Hyper Mega Launcher just has everything that you need to make it look like a massive weapon. And I'm talking about the side things splitting out, the triggers, everything about it just screams that this is more interesting than a regular Gundam beam rifle. So the combination of the two, and when you add in the grenade launchers on the forearms, is a big plus for me. But the real winner, as you take a look at this, when it's standing on the ground, because of the legs, it's going to have a lot of problems. But the fact is, you have to pay 5,000 yen, and you're paying a chunk of that to get that base that it's sitting on right now. But that allows you to do aerial poses. Everybody who has this, whether you have an action base or not, can use the aerial poses, and I think that the Zeta version 2.0 has incredible proportions, and the fact that the legs are that movable, outside of the shield being sort of stuck onto the forearm there, the aerial poses make this kit worth buying all by itself. Finally, the Wave Rider takes precedence here because the transformation for this, I'm never a big fan of transforming Gundams just because they seem to have a lot of drawbacks that the transformation just entails that they have to have. But this one was something that, following the directions, of course I've transformed this one in the past, and doing this one now, it just came across as being a lot easier than I remember. And everything fits in. If you don't have things in the right place, it's going to let you know. The way that the arms fit into the channels of the armor here, the way the shield fits on in 5 parts, even if you only get it on in 4, it works. I had no problems with anything except for the legs on the back, which probably you just have to do a little bit of patience to get those symmetrical, but actually I enjoyed the transformation, and I like the way it looks, especially when you take off these 2 weapons, and it's something that I might actually display as Wave Rider far more often than I would some other Gundams when they're in their transformed mode. The other big plus of this Wave Rider just being the fact that outside of those legs that are bent up, underneath, it's completely covered up. You're not going to have any Gundam or heads or anything sticking down below. And the top, everything, I think looks very much like a fighter jet should if it was off in space. In the end, my final criteria is always, does this capture the power of the anime? And that is a little bit tricky just because this was only in, 12 minute or so Gundam Evolve clip and Green Divers, which I haven't seen. So I don't have the same attachment to that you're going to get watching 25 episodes of Zeta Gundam and Camille running around. But in terms of a variation, I have to say that this one is just a lot of fun. I do like the Gundam version 2.0 for all the reasons. The aerial poses, the transformation, the Wave Rider, things like that, and I think it looks great. Proportions, fantastic. This one is the same, just in a unique set of colors, and when you add in the fact that it should or could or may be Amuro Ray, or it just plain is, that for me was worth a purchase on its own, because I really like the High New Gundam, I like the G3, I like everything to do with Amuro, so getting this one just seemed like a logical extension of getting the regular 2.0. Now the only problem is, because it is limited and it may be pricey as a collector's item, is you have to decide whether that 10 minutes of Evolve is enough for you to want to get that if you have to be paying much higher aftermarket prices. In the end, however, that's just my opinion. I'm sure that there's tons of you out there who have this kit, especially the Master Grade version 2.0 regular Zeta Gundam. So what do you think about this? Do you like the transformation? Do you like the gimmicks, the weapons, the colors? What do you like about this one compared to this one, or vice versa? Why don't you let me know with a comment down below so that other people can help make the decision about whether this is the right kit for them? And as always, I wanted to say thanks for coming and checking out my YouTube channel and the new gundam.tk. I thought I'd do an exclusive review of a limited model just to mix things up a little bit, but thanks for coming and checking back every day. This will be on YouTube eventually, but there'll be all sorts of new stuff going up on both the channel and the website, and I really appreciate you being around here for the launch. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, everybody, Robert184, thanks for watching. As always, please let me know with a comment down below what you think of just about anything to do with Gundam. Thanks for watching. See you next time. You know, if we added the G3 to this, I think Amuro would actually have more semi-canon suits than regular suits. Oh, really? Oh, really? Okay, now I'm really just reaching.